Professor Sir Chris Whitty has revealed how the much-repeated phrase "following the science" became a millstone around the neck of the government advisers during the pandemic. The chief medical officer said he was initially glad that Boris Johnson committed to taking expert advice on board, but later came to see it as a burden, arguing it blurred the distinction between scientific advice and political decisions.
When it initially happened, remembering that our job was to get science into government, thought, oh, this is a good thing. Government is recognising that science is important. Very soon we realised it was a millstone around our necks and didn't help government either.
Whitty also confessed that with the benefit of hindsight, the first lockdown came a bit too late. But he denied claims that he personally tried to delay the introduction of restrictions.
We essentially had two different things we were trying to balance. The risk of going too early, in which case you get all the damages from this with actually fairly minimal impact on the epidemic, and the risk of going too late, in which case you get all the problems of the pandemic running away. Now, as we will, I'm sure, come on to, my view is, with the benefit of hindsight, we went a bit too late on the first wave, and I've been very clear about that for some time.
The chief medical officer also claimed that all the options open to the government were very bad, some a bit worse, and some very, very bad, and that he had personally warned that restricting liberties would hit the poorest and most isolated in society the hardest. He also addressed Boris Johnson's leadership, saying the former PM made decisions in a way that was unique to him, quote unquote. I think there's going to be a lot of people out there who will be saying, my goodness, I lost a family member because we went into lockdown too late. And lots of people that are sitting there saying, look, at the end of the day, lockdowns didn't work. I think kind of all this after the fact, I'm not sure if it helps us get to the bottom of, did we do everything correctly during COVID? I thought it was really interesting today during, Chris Whitty giving evidence, I guess, as it were. He was saying that government ministers needed help to see that there was no option but for them to make decisions. But it comes across that they clearly didn't want to do that or weren't comfortable doing that. Therefore, this kind of follow the science mantra became something that they were literally just living by every single day.
I mean, look, Whitty constantly has the look of a man that just doesn't want to be wherever he is at that moment. I mean, I think that's because he's largely quite shy. And I sort of have a slight understanding of that. He's meant to be, a clinician, not somebody who's in the spotlight, but his job has found him there, and so that's tough. This word hindsight keeps cropping up every 3 seconds. Oh, with the ability of hindsight. I mean, what are we doing with this inquiry? I mean, hindsight, great. We can all go, well, if we did it again, we wouldn't do... If I did it again, we certainly wouldn't have those lockdowns, that's for sure.
Exactly.
The imbalance that existed between the science and the politics and the livelihood, the wealth of the nation as well as the health of the nation, that was completely distorted.
But listen to the language. He confessed that they should have locked down earlier. Well, what I want to know was, should we have locked down at all? And this ludicrous inquiry is not looking into that.
Yeah.
It's this presupposition, this orthodoxy that, of course, lockdowns were fantastic. We just should have done it earlier and far more extensively. Well, you'll get a lot of experts.
No, it's not
You'll get a lot of
experts
who will say, no, that's what this inquiry is.
But the thing is, all the evidence shows that lockdown didn't work. It is not looking into whether or not they were necessary. It is not. No, but that's the point, because all the evidence shows that lockdown didn't work. They didn't, and I'm sorry, the fact that he's saying the options were between locking down too early or too late is ludicrous. Why wasn't the option how to balance the economic impact, the social, the psychological, all of the impacts that we're still dealing with
I totally agree with that.
That is the nature of politics.
That it should be looking...
You have to take information that you get from different sources and make decisions based on the greater good, not listen to scientists like a bunch of lemmings. Then why did we vote for MPs? We should have voted for the scientists.
Yeah.
OK, I totally agree that it's not taking in enough consideration into all the bad effects of lockdown. But even the harshest lockdown critics or skeptics would have said that the timing of the first lockdown, because
it wouldn't have made any difference. Absolute rubbish. Wouldn't have made any difference.
That's not true, Kevin.
At the time when Chris Whitty said, oh, we should have locked down earlier, and by the way, it's not confessing, he's claiming we should have locked down earlier. It's not true that we should have locked down earlier.
Yes,
he's acting like it is.
Fact.
At the time when he said, oh, if only we'd locked locked down a week earlier, it would have been all fine. Well, at that point, people were flying in from all over the world, you name it, you know, Japan, where everybody had COVID. So locking down a week earlier, 2 weeks earlier would have made no difference whatsoever.
Well, I think we're going to have to disagree on that one, but I do agree with you on
Lockdowns
some of the...
did not work. There you go.
Multiple lockdowns did not work. We can all agree on that.
None of them worked.
He's still talking. I'm just going to have to block him out. I am going to get the last word because I'm reading the next cue.